So now I'm going to give you the warning that this meeting is being recorded and will be posted at a later time. Okay. Okay. All right, so safety factors. I will look into that so I can quote you exactly.
Well, I know that some of the electric vehicles have a problem with blowing up or whatever. I would just like to not put anybody.
Not have somebody catch on fire.
Yeah, and I think most of those reports are like the lower end Toyota hybrid.
The Bolt has been recalled.
Yeah.
All Chevy Bolts have been recalled. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I haven't heard nothing bad about the Tesla, like no batteries, that guy, he built a good car.
And they, you know, they're a leader in the electric vehicle industry for sure.
They just did the first full electric truck too.
Yeah, the Cybertruck.
Yeah.
It's interesting to look at.
It was also, that was the one that was just voted Motor Trend Truck of the Year.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh,
Wow, really?
Now, if you can only, Tesla can only make buses, you'd be all right.
That's right. Wouldn't that be great?
I know.
maybe they're working on it.
I know.
Okay, so far, other than checking on safety ratings for which, you know, we should be able to post anyway. Do you guys on the line have any questions? Whoops. Did I lose the meeting?
We're here.
Oh,
Yeah, we're
great.
still here.
Great. I can't see you on my screen anymore. I'm not sure.
Oh, we're here.
Great. Any questions or are we ready to move on from that? You guys good with having a Tesla?
Sure.
All right. So just to keep everybody in the loop, the last meeting we had the demo from the electric company Proterra. There will be a low-no grant opportunity that comes out in 2022. It hasn't been announced yet that I'm aware of. I believe it just was, it just happened this fall, I think November. So I'm guessing next fall. Oregon just announced a 5339B 2022 grant program with an application deadline of February 14th. That is for vehicles and vehicle replacement. So we will probably apply for electric buses in that grant process. And then not about electric vehicles, but another grant opportunity that I wanted to let the board know is that we are partnering with Clackamas County and Hood River County and applying for a grant that is an Enhancing Mobility Innovation competitive grant. Competitive, as you guys know, means we'll see if we actually get it. And it is for all of us to implement e-fares on our services that could all work together. So that currently, I'm sorry, what? Co-op?
I have a co-op as far as we share the.
It's the same system, like C10 and TriMet and Streetcar, they all have the same tap thing.
So I'm not sure if we would share a fare or find a system that would be able to know whose fare it belonged to by where you board. Both exist. The program that Chris just mentioned that TriMet uses, Hood River County currently also has a system that can interact with that system. They use mode shift. TriMet system is way too expensive for us. We were part of a study to join with TriMet and it was really, really expensive. It would have cost us money, would have eaten all of our fares and cost us money every month. So We will be looking for a less expensive option.
Yeah, that one's, it's got a lot of issues, with it still. We've had it 10 years.
Oh, wow, has it been?
Yeah, I
that
found
long?
my original September 11th fair thing. This is one of those things I did. And I was like, oh, we've had that system for 10 years already.
Wow.
So it's, yeah, it's some of the cards don't work, but people look at you and I'm like, I don't know, it's above my pay scale. I mean, so they still have issues with it. And the phone app, people were screenshotting it. So, I mean, there's ways of getting around it. So, but out here, yeah, you know, nothing too fancy like that.
Yeah, yeah, we're thinking more just, a phone app that allows you to purchase on the phone and then buy a rechargeable card, would probably be about as fancy as we get.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see if we get that. This is due in January and we are working on it right now with, like I said, Clackamas County and Hood River County. This blurb is just a draft of the first paragraph in there. So we're not sticking to it. It's just a draft.
So, and if you could just clarify for me, so, like they're applying with Clackamas County as in Mountain Express or with the other transit agencies in Clackamas County?
With Mountain Express.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Although Teresa, I don't know if you guys have any plans to also include the shuttles on that, or if we are purely looking at Mount Hood Express.
I think we're focusing on Mount Hood Express for this one, but there's still a lot of interest in looking at different kind of enhancements that are also going to impact either our other small transit partners or the shuttle services that we're offering right now in Clackamas and Oregon City. So not a direct focus of this particular application, but the more we can do to find good solutions in other locations, the better.
Great. All right. I am ready to move us on to operations contract negotiations.
Let's do it.
All right.
Sign that too.
I wish I could fix this so that I could, I've lost my meeting. I can't even find the,
Probably the bottom, but you have to go to the.
We're still here.
awesome, thank you. I've lost the ability
The bottom, maybe.
to even stop sharing my screen.
Yeah, you probably have to go back and open the Zoom part. Because it's probably open behind this program.
Yeah,
Try the top right corner, Andy, because sometimes it'll pop up with the view. No?
If you scroll to the bottom of the screen, does it pop up any of the?
I'm gonna end show. How about that? All right, let's try this again.
Okay, 2 seconds.
Very interesting things going on our end, guys.
Oh, you know, also here, it's simple.
That's right.
I could be making all kinds of faces at you guys and you wouldn't know it, huh?
Oh, well, I can actually see you now.
Oh, okay.
They
Never mind. I
can't.
guess I gotta behave myself.
They can't, but I can. All right, so now I have this back up. All right. I'm gonna try. Here we go. Let's try this again. Hi. I can see your faces.
You know, a lot of the recording, she has a split, so she can do it. So.
It does not want to.
that may
Go
be-
share screen.
Yeah, well, when I share the screen, it doesn't show me. There it is. All right. Ah,
There we
back
go.
in- We're back in business.
Yep.
Okay, so Bob just reminded me that this is his 1-year anniversary.
Yay.
Yay, yes. Bob has been here for 1 year. We don't have it on our screen though. It's
Yeah,
only
you
on
changed
my,
your screen settings.
oh,
Well, I can see it, so you guys can't now, huh?
yeah, it's on my laptop, but
You have to, it's under. There it is.
awesome. But I might have lost the meet. Nope, there you are. Okay. Wow. One of these days, guys, one of these days. And Bob has also been promoted as our general manager. So as you guys recall, Chris, you were pretty new at the time. We switched to MV. And the general manager and ops manager that came over at the time had a very difficult time with us. So, so they brought Bob in as our operations manager. And shortly thereafter, we got a new general manager for a little while who came in from Reno just to kind of clean things up on MV's part and train Bob to be a GM. So Bob is now a GM as of this month. Did you get your promotion yet, or does it come in January?
It starts January.
January 1st, okay. What goes along with that is we will be in contract with MV through June of next year, which means that we have to renegotiate for July 1. And it's in our contract that that negotiation will be in place and agreed upon between MV and the city by January. Because if we don't agree on our contract for the next year, we have to go back out through that RFP process all over again. So we have had conversations behind the scenes, the city and the county, on ways to make things a little easier on MV. And we are talking about going back to more of a merge, where the city of Sandy would be the contractor that MV would hold, and we would work with the county. So we would be a contractor for the county. And the reason that we're thinking about doing that is behind the scenes, what you guys don't see is it's kind of convoluted and complicated because they have a contract with the city of Sandy and they have a contract with the Clackamas County. And they don't look the same in some ways. Invoices are handled differently. Banking has been handled differently. We've recently fixed the banking. So it streamlines everything and it saves time. It saves the contractor time if they don't have to go, to two of us all the time. Now, obviously, for the county and the city, things will stay the same. It's their funding, it's their policies. We'll still meet with them on a regular basis. A lot of that will look the same so that we are sure that we're, contracting the way they would like to see their system run. But for the contractor, it's a lot easier if he has one company or one client that he deals with in one place.
So would that mean that the contract for revisit and so forth and so on will be the same for the county and the city?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so in the past, we have done that anyway, where the city has put out the RFP and we state, this is what we'd like to see, and this is what the county would like to see. Our drivers are pretty much, Clackamas County has paid drivers differently in the winter. I think MV made the change that they pay them a little more year round. But those would all be things that we still, we try to do as much together as possible.
Now, outside of the labor part, they wouldn't have a hand in how we ran the bus system. Well, it sounds like it would be easier.
Hi there. I heard good things about you today.
Oh, I'm glad.
We're in a meeting, but come on.
Yeah,
in.
no, I'm grabbing it. Oh, excuse me.
Good, yeah. So, this is something that city council would have to approve, but it's always good when I go in front of city council that I know I have your support and your guidance, because technically you are the liaison to tell city council whether you approve something or not. So,
Do we have to make a motion on this?
I don't think so. I don't think we're to that point yet.
Sounds like it would be less complicated and a lot more fair across the board.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think she's just letting us know because when it comes closer, then they'll have a contract to present, right?
That's
And
right.
then that's where we would make the motion to retire.
But it sounds like no one has any real, I will say in the past, when we have done this, the only question I've gotten from city council is, do we have the staff to have time for that? And my reply is that we already have what we call, we have an IGA with the county, and we have what we call an employee support program. So we're already doing this on their behalf. They're already reimbursing us for doing that on their behalf. So while there may be a little heavier lift, and we'll see, we'll track the time and see, how heavy that lift is, but I don't see any really big changes that I would.
And the county doesn't charge us to be a part of that, right?
No, the county actually pays us. Yeah, so the county pays us, it's a set amount. They pay us rent to be here, and they pay us for a estimate of time. So we built in a certain number of hours a week that we spend on Mount Hood Express. Yeah, I think it's a great partnership. I think it's a great relationship, and I think it would streamline the process for our contractor and hopefully keep our contracting rates low, right, Bob?
I can have my input, but when home office listens to it.
Okay. Teresa, did I cover that okay on your end? Any additions?
No additions. I mean, again, work in progress. We're just trying to figure out what makes the best sense, but certainly this has been a very successful partnership for many years, and anything we can do to make it easier on ourselves, to make it easier on our contractors, we definitely want to move toward that solution.
Yeah, absolutely.
She just said exactly what I want to say. So thanks, Teresa.
Okay, Roxy, Joseph? Sound good?
Sounds good.
Awesome. All right. Okay, so the only other thing, and you know what? I had this great article. You have the thing there. I don't want to mess with my computer at the moment, so I'm not going to pull it up. But there is another it's not really a committee, but I've been sitting with a group this summer, a gentleman who runs Sunset Empire actually started conversations between the Department of Transportation and the Department of Corrections. He was so excited about it, as a matter of fact, that he came down from Astoria when I was in Seaside at a volleyball tournament for Maya, and came and talked to me about it out on the beach watching Maya play volleyball, and asked if I would join this group. DMV was also involved, and essentially, to make a long story very short, Department of Corrections and Department of Transportation have both agreed that Department of Corrections will begin to train people who are about to be released. So released offenders will begin to get trained to have a CDL. They have a simulator vehicle so that they can train them, get them licensed, and have them pass their test when they are released back into their community. And transit agencies, as you know, TriMet just cut service by 9%. We have a real worker shortage issue, driver shortage, have for a long time. And so this is their way of trying to give the people who are being released an opportunity to have a solid job when they are released. Apparently, you have to be released back into your community where you committed the crime. My role in the meetings has been to do the research and work with DMV on a list of qualifications that us transit agencies will demand, such as, I mean, there's various crimes that if you commit them, you cannot have a professional CDL. So those are obvious. But transit will also need things like if the person has committed a crime that, you know, if part of their being released precludes them from being around children, for example, or precludes them from being alone with others, they don't qualify. So that's where we are at the moment, is developing that list of offenders that we will not accept, so that the Department of Corrections can move forward and start training. They believe they can even start as early as January, this January. Yeah. The Department of Corrections is paying for the simulator. They are paying for all of the equipment that will be needed. Department of Transportation is using CARES Act funding to pay. They found $150,000 to pay for the classes and the licensing. So, and I don't remember the exact cost of those classes, but everybody felt like it was a pretty good deal. Department of Corrections will be, you know, getting their money back by charging the fees for the class. The simulators are very expensive, as I'm sure you can imagine. So Department of Transportation was super happy not to have to pay that for the simulator.
A question.
Yes.
Do you select the people for training before or after they've gone through the process of being accepted? I mean, are they trained? They're not selected, you know, and just.
So the Department of Corrections, we will supply them the requirements. And the people that are about to be released that meet those requirements will be trained. If that's something that they say they want to do, and the transit agency has agreed that, yes, we will hire, which is something that we, you know, our contractor also has to be willing to hire. It has to be in our contract that we are willing to hire released offenders. But yes, it will be decided by their qualifications and by the Department of Corrections. Now, if they get here, so they'll be trained and ready to go. If they get here and we don't agree with their, you know, personality, or, you know, we don't think they're a good fit, then we have our, you know, ability to say no as well. But
It doesn't have to go through.
right.
I have a question on that, Andy.
Yes.
My question to that would be, I understand that everybody deserves a second chance. You know, they have to start their life back over somehow. I totally agree with all that. My biggest issue with this potentially is the population of people that transit drivers drive around, carry, whether that's on, you know, door to door or on SAM. you know, being able to know and how do I say, how to handle special populations, if that makes any sense. I don't want to say it in a derogatory way, because that's not what I mean. It's like, it's just making sure, is there some kind of process that Sandy Transit has in place or is going to look to put in place to do like second interviews with ABC, whether they are part of the city or part of the transit, and do, you know, like interviews to make sure that they're a good fit, in so many words.
Absolutely. So the words, we had the exact same concerns. As I said, that was one of my roles in participating in those meetings. The words that you're looking for, I think, are, and what we shared is, we do have a vulnerable population that we serve, and customer service is, you know, a priority. And so that is, as I said, one of the things that we said right away is they might have met the guidelines to still have a CDL, although it's a pretty significant list of crimes that preclude you from getting a CDL, actually. But then, as I said, we are adding to it to say, you know, if for any reason they can't be around a vulnerable person, you know, population, then that's obviously not a possibility. And then, yes, we will interview them while they're here, and they will go through our training process. So there will be a very long probationary period. And then also, you know, we do have, with MV, we do have the dash cams on every vehicle, and we do have video on every vehicle. So we could, you know, potentially put maybe something in place that we spot check, you know, during their probationary period, we spot check video, you know, on that particular population. I mean, we will definitely be sure that we protect our passengers.
Right. I understand you're definitely going to do your due diligence, which I fully am behind. But like I said, it's just, I don't know how long these people have been incarcerated or in whatever situation they're in for a length of time. And so I don't know if they've ever dealt with this kind of population or public like this in this manner, you know, those kinds of things that can alter or shock somebody, or, you know, trigger something. You know, I don't know what their past would be like, but I'm trying to think outside the box of,
Well, if they get past the interview and get to the onboarding through MV, one of the first things that MV does is put them through a background check. And if there's anything that they see questionable, well, then they'll they'll send me an email, and I will talk to Andy about the questionable things on whether we should continue with the onboarding or just disqualify the person altogether. So there are some things that DMV may not find that during our federal background check, because we actually go through the FBI on our background checks, to where we could find things that sometimes DMV cannot.
So I wrote down, Roxy, because I hear what you're saying, and so what I wrote down, and I will look into, because this is, I mean, Sandy Transit has the ability to say, no, you know, we're not interested in, you know, released offenders, if that was the direction that we thought we would want to go. So this is the beginning of the conversation, not the end. I wrote down triggers actually on my page, like, you know, I will research if there's some and talk to Department of Corrections about some way to identify those triggers, or if there's like I don't know, a personality test that can be applicable to that situation, just some way that we can be sure, because I understand what you're saying. And the public is not easy. Like, we all know that dealing with the public every day
Do you
is
guys have
not
bus
easy.
cleaners here, or is it the drivers that clean buses?
We have a bus cleaner. Typically, right now, we have a couple of drivers that are also cleaners.
Oh, that might be an
Yeah,
option.
yeah.
Cleaner would be great. Yes,
Not
yes,
interacting with the public.
yes. I would
Yeah.
definitely
sorry.
fill the cleaner position.
Andy, I appreciate that so much. And Bob, it wasn't about the background checks or anything like that. That's not what I was getting at. I am more on the trying to deal with the public. If you have been incarcerated and you don't deal with that on a daily basis and know and can respond properly, not that you can't be trained. I'm not saying any of that. I'm not saying don't give people a second chance. I'm not saying that Sandy shouldn't be an option for someone to come in and be part of the transit drivers. I think that the program sounds fantastic. I'm just saying the safety precautions, because of triggers or incidents or something that to make sure whomever this person or persons are, that there's a way to make sure everybody is safe. And so I'm glad you understand what I'm saying, Andy. I know I'm probably not saying the PC words, but I'm glad you get what I say.
Yeah, you're right on. We're all actually sitting nodding to one another that we hear you.
If it turns out that it doesn't work out, can we opt out of the program?
Yeah, absolutely.
My number one concern as the general manager / operations manager is the safety of the public. Making sure that they're safe with our operators, make sure the operators are safe with the passengers. I don't want a driver out there that has triggers that can cause any problems if a passenger comes after them. I don't want a driver that will do the same thing to our passengers. My main goal when I first came here was to bring the morale of the company up and make it a safer transportation agency. Because I think a safe agency and a happy agency means happy drivers and happy public.
And yeah, and so I'm gonna round this conversation out with just saying that I think you've done a great job of that. Morale is great here right now. Muna and I were just talking about how it's really hard for me to get things done when I come in the office. I tend to work from home more now because they're all in here talking and hanging out and having breaks. And, you know, we're back to being able to have potlucks, and we're having a Christmas party for the drivers. We'll give them their typical bonus that we give them every year. Bob and I have worked together, and they're getting jackets, which Bob surprised us with jackets too.
Do they get hired as a driver? Get a bonus in that first year, just resign.
Can I buy a jacket?
Bet we could arrange something. Yeah, so Muna's gonna show you, they're gonna have
The
winter jackets added to their bonus we give them every year. We've upped the bonus a little bit. Harriet's been here the longest, so she's also gonna get a turkey. Yeah, looks good.
Oh, really nice.
Really nice.
Oh, can I, that's great. Thank you for that. Roxy, I just want to expand a little bit on the excellent points that you brought up. And I guess how I would say it best would be, after being incarcerated for whatever amount of time, there is a real deficit in social interaction, and particularly with the general public.
Right.
And yes, there's the triggers aspect that's been brought up. And I think it's not by, because I have so much experience in this, but it's just what comes to me is that time during the training, during the sifting process to find if this is a good candidate, a good match for them for training and potential employment, and not so much just within our agency, but as they're going through a DMV and so on, is that adjustment period from being incarcerated to all of a sudden going out into the general population where they always are going to have this label and stigma of being an offender. And that, again, just in my sense, is that it takes a long while to make that adjustment from being on the inside to being on the outside. So I would love, Andy, for you to explore that with the group.
Yep.
That's not me saying no. I think it's a wonderful, wonderful program. And yet I would like to know how are they addressing that really real.
Yeah.
And then putting them in a situation where they have one person, maybe they're doing the med run, a medical run,
Mm-hmm.
or on, whether it's Sam Rides or it's Sam or whatever, but they're now, you are forced into being interactive with the population.
Right.
Well,
That may be a lot of pressure to like be
I think
on.
that's kind of extreme, because most people who are incarcerated have family members and friends that they're communicating with and that are visiting them. Yeah, they do. The boy who killed my son, we went to visit him. There were a lot of visitors up there. And so, and I know my brother was incarcerated for a short period of time. My little brother, not Lori. And we visited him, and he had letters from people that he, it wasn't like you don't have any social interaction.
That's your thing.
Well,
Yeah.
but I mean,
I'm just saying.
most of them do have family on the outside and friends.
When they get hired on with MD, they not only go through the classroom part of it, but then I have them out on the road with training drivers, riding every route, not only just on one day, but 2 or 3 days on each route, because they're going to be watching and observing one day, then they're going to be driving a couple of days to where they're interacting. And my trainers, if there's any situation with the public, any outbursts that the person does, come back and report to me, and we have training books that they have to fill out and everything. So they're out with the public to where they're being observed by someone to where if anything happens, at least for 2 to 3 weeks, they're being observed by my trainers or myself before they're finally released.
So
What's the acceptance by the other employees?
There you go.
we have not gotten that far.
But you wouldn't have to disclose, that's where they're coming from.
No,
They're just
we're
like
not
new
gotten
hires.
those. Yep.
Yeah, so they get treated.
Yeah.
And to the training, do you have like secret riders that just go out there, they don't know that they're part of this, and then, because
I am working on getting some people that nobody knows to get on the system, like some of my family members or some friends from a different bus company or something, where I get them tokens and they can just be secret riders and observe and give me some information, because like I said, I want this to be the safest and a company where everyone's fighting to work here. More than.
well, we used to have that training, but now we have the audio. Yeah.
Well,
Just so the
we
audio
have
gets-
audio and stuff on
Oh,
our
you do?
video system, but I don't know.
Yeah.
So it sounds like, Bob, maybe we could even, in answer to, what Roxy and Heather said, maybe we can extend their training, with the supervisor longer. So, they've kind of been brought back into, because it is, It is not, again, it's not necessarily always easy with the public.
How
So
long is the training session?
If they have experience and they have a CDL, it's usually 3 to 4 weeks. If they do not have experience, then it's basically anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks.
Right, well, that's pretty good, actually.
So I will say when we chose MV that they had the longest training hours out of the other bidders. I do remember that. Well, scored very well because it was a pretty robust training program. Okay, so I'm looking at the clock and I got 5 minutes to rush us through. You guys know that, oh my gosh, we're only on 5.3. So, you know, there's an infrastructure bill. Public transit in Oregon's getting 200 million in additional funding for rural and urban, which is, I think, a 35% increase. One thing I wanted to call out is the funding is going to come in this pie. Transit is getting 14%, but one of the things that they did when they were coming up with this is they have this pot here called flexible funds. And that's 32%, it's a pretty large pot of the infrastructure bill. And the OTC, the Oregon Transportation Commission, will decide how they want to allocate those flexible funds. So they are, and I think I might have, yes. So they are actually going to meetings right now. I took this out of one of their PowerPoints at a meeting that I attended Monday night to get feedback. What I've heard from meetings and from my communications with someone on the Transportation Commission, they are hearing a lot of transit, support for transit to get a pretty big, another bucket of funding in here. What I've heard from ODOT is that it'll definitely, transit will definitely have a slice, but Bike Ped did not get as much of a boost to their funding. I think they're here as transit. And so they will probably out of the flexible funds get a bigger increase in the flexible funds. So I've reached out to the city. We have a new director over Parks and Recreation. It used to be Community Services and now it's called Parks and Recreation. And she and I and the director of planning have already met to come up with various projects using the transportation system plan, using the transit master plan, to go after some of these funds as a multimodal. So we can get some sidewalks filled in while we get, you know, bus stop improvements, or there's a couple crosswalks that I really on both sides of the transit center that I'm going to push for. We also are going to go after a lot of capital projects here based on Vision Around the Mountain. We're having a lot of conversations with Clackamas County. What we've talked about, and I hope happens, is that we can kind of get a project manager to identify, we need a maintenance bay out here, which I just put in a grant to hopefully get funding for the planning of it. We need another admin space. We're running out of space. We're looking into a park and ride on Highway 26 when you get into town. But somebody who can, you know, kind of string all these Hood River counties looking at projects. Clackamas County is putting a transit hub up on the mountain. So it's go, go, go. Warm Springs is included, yes, yeah. Ridership, I mean, I have the slides and I can email these out, but here's our ridership for 2021. As you can see, we're not bouncing back as much. Oh, this is Sam Gresham. ridership. So this is overall ridership. We're doing better than we were in 2020, but I'd like to see that come up. This is our workhorse route. And, you know, it's coming up, but it's not as much as I'd like to see it.
Excuse me, Andy.
Yes,
The upper line, because I can't read the side.
Yes.
So is that 2019?
it is.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so, you know, here's COVID.
Yeah.
So 2020, we were doing pretty good in 2020, if I recall. And then, yeah. So overall, here was our 2020 and then COVID. So, Estacada running pretty flat. We do have a flat grant in
And do you have weekday service on that?
on Estacada.
You guys will probably get more ridership starting down there.
You think?
Yeah, trying to put service out there.
Really?
Yeah. Instead of express trips to Portland, there's no weekday express trips. The buses, the first bus out of there now is 6:26 every hour. They're not happy on them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So-
you guys are probably gonna increase the ridership to come up here to transfer the.
Yeah. Which some do already if they're headed for that side
Yeah,
of
and
Portland. So,
How early do you guys start them?
The first bus
7.
leaves Sandy at 7,
7.
so 8 o'clock over there.
Yeah, so they're going from half-hour service to hour service. So yeah, it's not gonna be, and then if yours is in between those, then you'll probably put some riders.
We're not hourly.
No, we have 5 scheduled runs. We do have, so this is our current schedule that starts at 7. But we have a grant application in partnership with Clackamas County again, where we are adding 2 new runs to Estacada, and they're adding 3 more runs to Village Shuttle, and we'll implement. So this will be the new schedule. We'll be able to keep our schedule pretty much the same, except the 10:30 Estacada moves to 10, and the 6:30 moves to 7 at night.
Yeah, because it's the bottom of the hour for China, there's only 2 buses that swap all day long between Clackamas and now, starting in January.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it's low ridership is what they're saying, and it's not drivers, it's low ridership, that's why it's got free.
So I hit the flat. I think that's good. Teresa,
Yeah.
do you have neighbor updates?
I'm not gonna, we're getting close to time here, and so I don't want to run us too much further over. You know, just a couple little details. We're discussing adding some extra service now that we've finally got some snow up on the mountain and things are getting busy, discussing adding some extra service on weekends, and possibly over the holidays, but I think that's to be determined. We have new ski boxes that I think are done or pretty darn close to done and should be delivered here fairly quickly. You know, there's a lot of activity obviously going on at the county, with a lot of projects that are related to transit, everything from the last mile shuttles that we've started up, which are going very well, to the I-205 tolling and the pilot project that we're putting in for enhanced transit service along that corridor. So there's a lot of different activities going on, but with that being said, maybe we can talk some more at the next one. I'll probably have some more information then too about how some of these projects are running, and we can have a little bit more of a conversation about that. The only thing I'm going to bring up on a social services note as just informational is that it's that time of year again where we are firing up warming shelters. So currently we have warming shelters operating in Oregon City and in Molalla. We do have a site for a warming shelter, which actually is right on the bus line that we're completing a contract with right now, working with the local food bank. And then we do have a site in Sandy that's expressed some interest in being a warming shelter. So more to come on that. I'll send information to Andy so she can send it out to you, and you guys can share that with your folks and your networks. But this is definitely the time of year. You know, it's been a pretty mild winter so far, but things are starting to change. So that's one of the primary focuses, at least that I have going on right now, is helping to stand up some of those different warming shelter sites. So I'm sure I will have more updates in the future. It's good to at least remotely see you all. Hopefully I can be there in person next time.
It's pretty darn cold up here, Teresa. You should stay right where you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. I'm glad that we can have warming shelters again. And as you know, Sam is happy to drive people to shelters if the one in Sandy gets full. We offered that last year for a couple shelters that were in Estacada last minute, but good job. We're gonna need it. It's cold.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you.
All right.
Well, I think we're at the place to adjourn. Any other comments, questions? Next meeting is Wednesday, March 16th. We have nobody here for public comment, so we're good to adjourn. We get a motion to. All right, good.
Slow down.
Anyone opposed to that? No?
All right. Thank you, Roxy Joseph. Thank you, Teresa.
Like I said, good to see you all. Wish I could be there in person, but hopefully I'll see you next time.
We'll see you guys next time.
Excellent. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.